Today I want to talk about how to speed up recruiting in your dynasty. At times, recruiting could get a little bit monotonous. We had the same exact recruiting system 2 years in a row. If you're anything like me, you have done multiple dynasties from this year to last year. There's just a lot of the same stuff when it comes to recruiting. So we're going to talk about how to speed it up, make that process a little bit more enjoyable and also fast paced. If you do enjoy this content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Twitch. Probably going to be live streaming later tonight. And let's hop into the video. So recruiting, it has been the same exact system for what? 2 years in a row now, man. I'm very hopeful next year we get a slightly different system, maybe add in another element, NIL, another element to recruiting to spice it up, because the menus look the same. It's the same exact hard and soft sell system. It's the same exact best recruiting method from last year. The visits are a little bit different, improved this year, but essentially still the same. Visits are good this year, better than they were last year, but it's pretty much the same exact method. And for a guy like me that does a lot of dynasties, a lot of years, recruiting could get a little bit tedious at times. So we have a couple methods here. So we're Alabama right here, but keep in mind, this is my tester dynasty. So all of this applies to any program from a 1-star all the way up to a 5-star program. One of the important things you want to do if you're trying to speed up recruiting, you have to go after players that's interested in you. We dropped a bunch of videos on this channel talking about, you could find 5 stars and 4 stars that you could get for free. In my opinion, you get them for free because you can identify, this guy will be under recruited. And let's see if we can find an example for you. For example, like this 5-star player, I think he will be under recruited. Now, the issue is we're not in this top anything, nor do we have a pipeline boost for this guy. So we're going to have to convince this guy to come to our program. And we also have no pipeline, but also none of the schools on this list have a pipeline. So this is a guy, like I said, I think will be under recruited. Now, if you don't want a tedious recruitment, don't go after a guy like this. This is a recruitment that might last the entire season. And by week 14, 13, he might finally commit to your program. But it's going to take you a while to get that guy. And if you're looking for a recruitment or recruitments that's going to be faster, don't go after these type of guys. Even though they could be free, they could be very good players. And also, this might not even be a realistic recruitment to go get a guy, where you have no pipeline boost and not interested in Alabama whatsoever. So avoid these guys in your dynasty if you want to speed it up. Instead, go after players that's interested in you, but also with a pipeline boost. For example, we have, some 5 stars here interested in us. We don't have no pipeline boost for these guys. We could go after them. We could win that recruitment, but it's a good chance he's going to go to Georgia or Florida or LSU because I'm sure they have pipelines in Florida. So this is a 5-star player, number 1 player in the nation, real cool, all of that. But this could be a recruitment that's going to be tedious and annoying. Could be fun if you like that, compared to if we go after this guy from Alabama, in-state kid. So we have the 5-tier pipeline and everything adds up. That 5-tier pipeline, you're going to be able to get this guy to commit super fast, man. Keep in mind, for every recruitment is different to where how fast it want to go. Some recruitments you'll see it goes super fast. He'll commit by week 4. It usually be an in-state kid, a Georgia kid being recruited by Georgia, or a Louisiana kid being recruited by LSU. It's when some of these in-state pipelines, the recruitment just goes super quick, and that's what you're looking for. If you're trying to speed up your dynasty or speed up your recruiting and not spend as much time in these menus, because if you go through, what I do sometimes, you could spend 30 minutes in the menu, and that's during the first season scouting, scouting and trying to find good 3 stars, 4 stars, and then also searching for the right archetype, doing this, that, and the third. You could spend so much time looking for the perfect recruits that you don't spend enough time playing the game at times. So, everyone loves the game in a different way. Some people love recruiting. Some people love just playing the game. I like both, but like I said, recruiting got a little bit tedious with certain programs. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm the one star program. I don't have the luxury to go after, I don't have all these 4 stars interested in you. Okay, that's fine. Go after 3-star players. You definitely have 3-star players interested in you, unless you're Kansas State. Unless you're some of the programs that's glitched out and they don't get any players interested in them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we covered it a few times on this channel, so I'm not going to get into too much. Certain programs seem to have an issue with having players interested in them. And you'll see it in the transfer portal and you'll see it in high school recruiting. A key program is Houston, Kansas State. Those 2 programs are 2 obvious ones that I know have issues. There's more out there. But with those teams, recruiting every single year is going to be tedious because you just don't have guys that's interested in your program for some reason. So just to clarify, first step, go at the guys that's interested in you, and then also guys you have some pipeline boosts. Those are recruitments that will go faster in your dynasty, and you will be able to get these guys to commit. So we added some players to the board. Another thing I want to cover that's, I guess, something I wish would be fixed is auto recruiting. In my opinion, auto recruiting should be a way for you to speed up recruiting. You should be able to add, okay, I found my guys I want the CPU to pursue, the guys I want to be on this team, I want to go after. I add them to the board, I put on auto recruiting, and they just go through the motions. They, put the 50 hours in, then they transition to the hard sell, they schedule the visits. It don't have to be perfect as far as they don't have to use the best recruiting method, but they should use some type of method to pursue guys. Instead, you put auto recruiting on, they'll change the whole board to whatever they want. So the auto recruiting just doesn't work the way I think it should in Dynasty. So that could be a way for, recruiting to be less tedious. Maybe one day in the future we'll get there. Now, I want to show you what I was talking about when every recruitment is just at a different speed. We have a receiver and a running back right here, both from Texas. This recruitment is going to go way faster. So that instantly, after you advance through the first week and you finally put some hours in, you get to see how fast some of these recruitments going to go. This is going to be a quicker one. He hasn't hit his top 5 yet, but he will next week. This guy is going to be a slower recruitment. It's going to take him 2 more weeks to hit his top 5, and we put 50 hours in for both of these players. Another kid right here, this is going to be a slower recruitment. He's from Alabama, but going to be a slower recruitment. This one right here, going to be a little bit faster. So you're kind of able to get a gauge of, how much interest you're gaining each week. And then you'll know if that's going to be a faster or a slower recruitment. What you're looking for are the faster recruitments. And this is a guy right here. I purposely did this. We put 50 hours into this player. We was not in his top anything. He wasn't interested in us. So we had to jump up on his board, and we're jumping up. We're slowly but surely getting up there. But this is going to be the slowest recruitment out of all the players I showed so far, because we have to convince this guy to be interested in us. And then that recruitment is just going to drag on all throughout the year. So just keep that stuff in mind. And what makes a recruitment slower or faster? I think it's a few things, but one thing we could cover right here is, well, how many hours are you putting in and other teams? For example, everyone offer a scholarship here, but nobody put hours into this guy, Brown. So the recruitment is not really moving. Compared to if we all 4 teams put in 50 hours, his recruitment could be flying by. So it's almost dependent on how much hours all of the teams put in, if that makes sense. So with that being said, when you're building your coach and you don't love the recruiting process, or it's a little bit tedious for you, keep that in mind. I would suggest going down the recruiter skill tree. That's actually going to make recruiting easier, maybe even more fun, but definitely speed it up. So if you come in here and you get some of this stuff, tier 2 ability, increased interest from quarterbacks. I wish we knew how much that actually did. I really do. I wish we knew how important that tier 2 ability was, but we could only assume, it works, and it's a pretty solid ability. But that's going to make more players interested at every single position that you buy it for. So therefore, you're going to have more recruitments that will go faster. So that tier 2 ability could be very, very useful if you're looking to speed up a recruitment. Also, the tier 1 ability, another one. Taking less time to scout, I think this is a must on every single coach build, man. When it takes so long to scout, for one, it's frustrating when you got to click X on a player 5 times compared to when you got to click it 2 times because you have this ability on your head coach and both your coordinators. Game changer. You're saving a lot of hours and a lot of time. They need to put a scout all button in the game, but we currently don't have that. And then I would suggest even going into the elite recruiter, because this is going to be game changing. This is going to be allow you to recruit easily, and recruiting is damn near going to be a second thought. And maybe you could even put auto recruiting on. It's trash, but when you upgrade your coach, especially in elite recruiter, the auto recruiting starts to get usable, especially get a coordinator with elite recruiter also. Then you could, pit recruiting as a second nature. But recruiting is such an important feature in the game. So I don't know if I'll ever personally get to that point where I truly put the auto recruiting on the way it currently works. If they fixed it and it actually works how I think it should, then I'll use the feature more often. But all of this stuff in the elite recruiter is going to be good, especially the tier 4 ability. Being able to put more hours in, that allows you to speed up the recruitment, get it over with faster, and one, get more commits, but also get more commits faster in a year. Another suggestion I have to speed up recruiting, and a lot of you guys might not like this one. You might not like this one. I would suggest not scouting. And that might sound crazy. Scouting is an important, feature in the game. You can find gems, busts. You can find out people ratings, all of that stuff. For one, I think the scouting feature is a little bit unrealistic, in my opinion. I think it is. Like, you scout here, you can see all of his abilities, both mental and physical. You can see all of his attributes, all of his important attributes. And then you can also see if he's a gem, bust. You just get so much information from scouting. Well, if you take the whole scouting out for your dynasty, have it be a house rule, for one, I think it makes it more realistic. And two, it takes a lot of time out of recruiting. Now you're only basing it off of archetype, height, weight, where that guy is from, national rank. Even though national rank don't matter, let's act like it do matter, because it should matter in the game. And also you could use his star rating, and that's probably gonna be the most important, thing you use to determine if that's a guy you want to pursue. Probably the star rating, and then also the archetype is probably the two most important things. Now, that could make your dynasty go a little bit faster, have recruiting be a little bit faster as well. Instead of scouting every single player, finding guys, like, it take a lot of time to scout players. It take a lot of time. If you're doing it during the preseason, then also during the season, it takes a lot of time. So try it for your dynasty and you might like it. Now, the part about recruiting that's probably the most tedious for me personally is not scouting, is not, finding guys. It is going through and putting the hard sell on. It's using the best recruiting method. That's the most tedious. For example, we have a guy here. He had his top 5. We know, okay, we need to go schedule a visit. I have no issue with that. Scheduling the visits, all of that stuff is good. It is going through and trying to find a proper hard sell. Let's do it. So we got pro potential is his only deal breaker we know. Okay, first we need a coachability that allows you to get motivations earlier. That'd be a great coachability to add in recruiter or something. But now we got to go through all of these options to see if any of them fit. And let's see if we can find a proper one. And this situation looks like we will be able to find a proper one, but took us a little bit of time. We do find it with only knowing one of his motivations, and we throw the proper hard sell on. But it'll be plenty of times where it's in between 3 options. So now you got to do, if you're going to do the best method, you got to do the double soft sell. That takes time, man. And it just gets a little bit tedious when you got to do it for 25 players on your roster at a time. And then you got to go back, check, make sure you put the right hard sell on or the right soft sell on, switch everything out. It takes time, and it could definitely get a little bit tedious. Another situation here, pro potential, staying close to home, and then also championship contender. But if we want to put the hard sell on, we know we got a really bad grade for championship contender. So now we got to sway. So, recruiting in real life is tough. It's difficult. It should be difficult. But give us like freebies. When we do know all of his motivations, it should highlight the proper hard sell. Like, it should highlight it when we do know them all. For example, this situation, we know all of his motivations. So we see, conference prestige and pro potential. Well, if we look there, deal breaker, playing style. So we really know all three of his motivations. When we go to put the hard sell on, it should just light up which one is which. And maybe this is nitpicking, but it was saved. It's just, a quality of life thing. Now we got to go through. I don't personally have them all memorized. I have some of them memorized, but I don't have the gamer one memorized. So now I got to go ahead and find the gamer, put it on. And, in the grand scheme of things, that's adding an extra 10 seconds. That might not sound that bad, but when you're doing this over, 20, 30, 40 dynasties over the course of 2 years at this point, because we had the same recruiting system, it kind of adds up to be a little bit tedious. So my suggestion is don't always use the best recruiting method. Don't. I have found myself, okay, I'm just going to wait until we know all his motivations. I'm not going to spend, a bunch of time. Okay, we see two of his motivations, pro potential. We probably could guess the last one, but also we have a good lead here. I'm going to let it rock. I'm going to let it rock for another week until I could see all four motivations. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to, go on to the next guy. Same situation here. We see two of his motivations. We could figure out the last one. We got a big enough lead. I'm going to let it rock. We also got the pipeline boost. So in some situations, I'm just not going to waste time. A situation like this, it's a dogfight. Me and Georgia, this guy, we might actually have to go through and find the proper hard sell, but we also don't have the grades. So just do the visit. But if we did have the grades, that situation, I would go ahead and try to find the proper hard sell. Point is, you don't always have to use the best recruiting method. Don't always have to be a super try hard against the CPU is what I'm getting at. Now, if you're in an online dynasty, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do to get these recruits because it's competitive, all of that type stuff. But against the CPU, you have a clear advantage against the CPU and the AI. So you don't always have to take advantage of it. And last thing I'll talk about, something we all should know at this point, just be very conscious of deal breakers. Don't go after guys with that deal breakers will change mid-year. It's probably nothing more frustrating when you think you're about to get a 5-star commit or a great 4-star commit and that playing style deal breaker change up on you week 8, week 4, whatever. After the bye week, it change up. So avoid those guys. Just avoid those guys so you don't even have to deal with that when you're recruiting. And at the end of the day, the game is meant to be fun. So if recruiting is getting a little tedious, like I said, use some of these ideas, and at the end of the day, your recruiting class, it probably will be worse. This is not a video telling you how to bring in a better recruiting class. This is a video telling you how to speed it up. So your recruiting class probably will be a little bit worse if you use some of these methods. Now, at the end of the day, the transfer portal is jumping. You're good. You're good. You can bring in transfers, and there's also plenty of high school guys you could get in the portal. 4 stars. You even sometimes see 5-star high school guys that make it all the way to the portal, and you could still go get. And there's plenty of 3-star players, man. One of the issues in this game is there's too many players available. So that's why so many guys end up disappearing. So many guys end up not getting recruited. It's just so many guys and not enough roster spots. So you don't ever have to worry about bringing in a small class if you know what you're doing in this game. So just keep all of that stuff in mind, man. Guy like this, no scholarship offer, 5-star right tackle, raw strength guy. But look where he's from. Nobody has the pipeline boost. Nobody has a pipeline boost. This is a guy you could go get. Would it be free? Maybe, possibly, but this is a recruitment that might end up being a little bit tedious. But we have, elite recruiter. We could put 65 hours in, some of that other stuff to make this recruitment be a little bit smoother and speed it up. But this could be worth it. This could be worth a tedious recruitment for a 5-star right tackle that's being under recruited. So keep all of that stuff in mind, man. If y'all enjoy this content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate y'all boys, and we on to the next one.